When the Word became flesh. Part 4. Parables. Hello and welcome back yet again. Excuse my voice, I'm a bit under the weather, but I'm glad you could be here. In the last part of this series, I mentioned the word parable, which is a short, simple story that teaches or explains an idea, especially a moral or religious idea. In this video, we'll be browsing the scriptures, reading through and discussing some of the parables told by the living word, Yahusha, the son of Yahuwah. Now, some of these parables are long, so we can't review too many. But like I always say, you can read as many of them as you want in the books of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They're fascinating, believe me. With that being said, let's stop to waste too much time and get started. We'll begin in Mark. Mark chapter 4, verses 3 to 20. Yes, it's long, I know. Hearken. Behold, there went a sower to sow. Sowing is planting seeds. And it came to pass as he sowed, some fell by the wayside, and the fowls of the air came and devoured it up. And some fell on the stony ground, where it had not much earth, and immediately it sprang up, because it had no depth of earth. But when the sun was up, it was scorched, and because it had no root, it withered away. And some fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked it, and it yielded no fruit. And other fell on good ground, and did yield fruit that sprang up and increased, and brought forth some 30, and some 60, and some 100. Okay, this is the first parable we'll speak about. But because Yahusha is so much grander than I am, I'll let him explain, and I'll just give simple commentary and explanations here and there. What I really want to point out right now, though, is how fortunate we are to have been born after he'd spoken all these words. If we'd been alive during the time in which he told the story, we wouldn't have received such a clear explanation unless we were one of his closest followers. But let's continue. And when he was alone, they that were about him with the 12 asked of him the parable. And he said unto them, Unto you it is given to know the mystery of the kingdom of Yahuwah, but unto them that are without, all these things are done in parables, that seeing they may see and not perceive, and hearing they may hear and not understand, lest at any time they should be converted, and their sins should be forgiven them. And he said unto them, Know you not this parable? And how then will you know all parables? The sower soweth the word of Yahuwah, which is the Son he's put on this earth. And these are they by the wayside, where the word is sown. But when they are heard, Satan cometh immediately, and taketh away the word that was sown in their hearts. So, some people never receive or want to receive the light of the truth. They don't want Yahuwah or his word. It's very sad. And these are likewise which are sown on the stony ground, who, when they have heard the word, immediately receive it with gladness, and have no root in themselves, and so endure but for a time. Afterward, when affliction or persecution arises for the word's sake, immediately they're offended. Some people hear Yahuwah's word, and they're happy for a little while, but because they don't read or really understand Yahuwah or his word, his promises, his power, or the life we're promised if we choose him forever, when things get difficult in their lives and they have to choose between the world and Yahuwah, they choose the world because it's easier. And these are they which are sown among thorns, such as hear the word, and the cares of this world, and the deceitfulness of riches, and the lust of other things entering in choke the word, and it becometh unfruitful. So, some people hear Yahuwah's word, but they want the things that this world has to offer way more than they want Yahuwah. So they don't fully look for Yahuwah. They think they can have both what they want and what Yahuwah wants. But in the end, they let themselves be carried away by all the other things they want. Fame, fortune, beauty, and whatever else. And these are they which are sown on good ground, such as hear the word and receive it, and bring forth fruit, some 30-fold, some 60, and some 100. Finally, there are some people who hear Yahuwah's word, like it, choose it, and follow it no matter what. Even when it gets hard and people are looking at them like they're crazy, the few that aren't looking at them like they're crazy are following their example and being led to Yahuwah as well. This is what we want to be. Next, let's move down a few verses to Mark chapter 4, verses 26 to 29. And he said, "So is the kingdom of Yahuwah, as if a man should cast seed into the ground, and should sleep and rise night and day, and the seed should spring and grow up. He knoweth not how. For the earth bringeth forth fruit of herself, first the blade, then the ear, after that the full corn in the ear. But when the fruit is brought forth, immediately he putteth in the sickle, because the harvest is come." Okay, this is more complicated than we think. But Yahuwah's kingdom is similar to when people plant seeds. They're planting so that a plant will grow, and they can use that plant. Yahuwah plants his word in us so that it will grow and will be like his son, able to do miracles and all the work that he sends us to do. Yahuwah will literally be able to live in us if we obey him and follow him. If we accept his son, Yahuwah's spirit will live in us and grow in us like a plant. Next, Mark chapter 4, verses 30 to 32. And he said, "Whereunto shall we liken the kingdom of Yahuwah? Or with what comparison shall we compare it? It's like a grain of mustard seed, which, when it is sown in the earth, is less than all the seeds that be in the earth. But when it is sown, it groweth up, and becometh greater than all herbs, and shooteth out great branches, so that the fowls of the air may lodge under the shadow of it." Again, this one's a little bit more abstract, but Yahuwah's kingdom is like a tiny seed, the smallest of all seeds, but when it's planted, it becomes a great tree that provides food and flavor and shelter for everything that comes to it. This is how a person who accepts Yahuwah's word will be. Let's move on to Matthew. Matthew chapter 18, verses 24 to 30. "Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat, and went his way." By the way, tares are weeds. They're useless usually, and they just steal all the nutrients from the good plants. Continuing. "But when the blade was sprung up, and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst thou not sow good seed in thy field? From whence hath it tares? And he said unto them, An enemy has done this. The servant said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nope, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest, and in the time of harvest I will say to the reapers, Gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn." So Yahusha explains this one, so I'll just pop in and out and add context here and there. Let's hear what he has to say. Matthew chapter 13, verses 36 to 43. "Then Yahusha sent the multitude away, and went into the house, and his disciples came unto him, saying, Declare unto us the parable of the tares in the field. He answered and said unto them, He that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of the world. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and them which do iniquity, and shall cast them into a furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who hath ears to hear, let him hear." Wow. I think this is pretty clear. No explanation or context needed. But if you have a question, leave a comment. Or better yet, pray and ask Yahuwah. Let's go to Matthew chapter 13, verses 45 and 46, a short one. "Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a merchant man seeking goodly pearls, who, when he had found one pearl of great price, went and sold all that he had and bought it. The kingdom from which Yahuwah's word comes is like a super expensive item, where once you see it and find it, you're willing to give up anything and everything to keep it. Think about that. We all have things we like here, but the kingdom makes those things look completely worthless. Again, Matthew chapter 13, verses 47 to 50. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a net that was cast into the sea and gathered of every kind of fish, which, when it was full, they drew to shore and sat down and gathered the good into vessels, but cast the bad away. So shall it be at the end of the world. The angel shall come forth and sever the wicked from among the just, and shall cast them into the furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Again, Yahusha explains this perfectly, so no need for me to add anything. But let's look at a few more in Matthew. Matthew chapter 18, verses 23 to 35. Yes, it's long. You'll be all right. Therefore is the kingdom of heaven likened unto a certain king, which would take account of his servants. And when he had begun to reckon, one was brought unto him, which owed him 10,000 talents. But forasmuch as he had not to pay, his master commanded him to be sold, and his wife and children, and all that he had, and payment to be made. The servant therefore fell down and worshipped him, saying, Master, have patience with me, and I will pay thee all. Then the master of that servant was moved with compassion, and loosed him, and forgave him the debt. All right, pause. In the Old Testament, the word talent, it's not like a skill. It was a unit of measurement for weighing precious metals like silver and gold, and it weighed about 75 pounds. So this servant owes this king, or this master he has, 750,000 pounds of something, probably gold or silver. But he doesn't have all that to pay back. So instead he begs, and the king says, never mind, you don't have to pay me back, because he feels pity for this guy. Let's continue. But the same servant went out and found one of his fellow servants, which owed him 100 pence. And he laid hands on him, and took him by the throat, saying, Pay me what you owe it. And his fellow servant fell down at his feet, and besought him, saying, Have patience with me, and I will pay thee all. And he would not, but went and cast him into prison till he should pay the debt. Bruh. So this same man who the king forgave is now snatching up someone who owes him way less, about $16 to be honest. Again, way less, and having him put in prison until he can pay him back. This same guy got forgiven way more, yet he has no compassion on someone who owes him way less. Let's see what happens to him. So when his fellow servants saw what was done, they were very sorry, and came and told unto their lord all that was done. Then their lord, after that he had called him, said unto him, O thou wicked servant, I forgave thee all that debt because thou desirest me. Shouldest not thou also have had compassion on thy fellow servant, even as I had pity on thee? And his lord was wroth, he's angry, and delivered him to the tormentors, till he should pay all that was due unto him. So likewise shall my heavenly Father do also unto you, if ye from your hearts forgive not every one of his brother their trespasses. You see how important forgiveness is? If we do not forgive other people for the things they've done or what they owe, then how can we expect Yahuwah to forgive us when we've probably committed worse sins against him? If we be forgiving, he'll be forgiving. If we don't, he'll punish us until we learn. Let's learn this lesson fast, please. Let's go to Matthew chapter 20, verses 1 through 6. For the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is an householder, which went out early in the morning to hire laborers into his vineyard. He means a man who owns land and hires people to work on the land, doing farming and such things. Let's continue. And when he had agreed with the laborers for a penny a day, he sent them into his vineyard. And he went out about the 3rd hour and saw others standing idle in the marketplace. So after a few hours he goes out and he finds some more people standing around doing nothing, so he offers them a job on his farm too. And said unto them, Go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right I will give you. And they went their way. Again he went out about the 6th and the 9th hour, and did likewise. And about the 11th hour he went out, and found others standing idle, and saith unto them, Why stand ye here all the day idle? They say unto him, Because no man hath hired us. He saith unto them, Go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right, that shall ye receive. Even until the last hour, the landowner goes out and looks for people who want to work, and promises them pay for all the good fruit they pick. This is how Yahuwah is too. He's always looking, and he'll accept whoever is willing to do the work and to do it right, which is to say, obey him and follow his word. So when even was come, the Lord of the vineyard saith unto his steward, Call the laborers, and give them their hire, beginning from the last unto the first. And when they came that were hired about the 11th hour, they received every man a penny. This is how it'll be in the end for us too. He'll begin with the last to join, and work his way back to the very first to become followers. But when the first came, they supposed that they should have received more, and they likewise received every man a penny. And when they had received it, they murmured against the good man of that house, saying, These last have wrought but 1 hour, and thou hast made them equal unto us, which have borne the burden and heat of the day? But he answered one of them and said, Friend, I do no wrong. Didst thou not agree with me for a penny? So the workers who got hired early in the morning and worked the longest are upset that they're getting the same pay as the people who only started an hour ago. But they agreed at the beginning of the day to receive this amount. Why did they think they deserved more at the end of the day? When we decide to follow Yahusha and serve Yahuwah, we all agree to the same rewards no matter how long we work. It's not about how long we've known him. It's about the work we do. Continuing, Take that thine is, and go thy way. I will give unto the last man, even as unto thee. Is it not lawful for me to do what I will with mine own? Is thine eye evil because I am good? So the last shall be first, and the first last. For many be called, but few chosen. We don't get to tell Yahuwah what we think we deserve. That's silly. He sees all, knows all, and can do all. We should be grateful that he's even offering us a reward for doing what we were created to do in the first place, which is serve him and love him. Notice also that even though many will feel called to him, only a few will be chosen. So don't delay and don't do anything half-heartedly. Let's go to Matthew chapter 21, verses 28 to 31. But what think ye? A certain man had 2 sons, and he came to the first and said, Son, go work today in my vineyard. He answered and said, I will not. But afterward he repented and went. And he came to the second and said likewise. And he answered and said, I go, sir, and went not. Whether of them twain did the will of his father? He's saying which one of them actually did what the father asks. They say unto him, the first. Yahusha saith unto them, Verily I say unto you that the publicans and the harlots go into the kingdom of Yahuwah before you. Okay, so back then, when the Word became flesh and walked among humans, teaching and doing miracles, many people who you'd think would believe him and follow him, like rich people and smart people and people who claim to love Yahuwah, rejected Yahusha because he was telling them to do things that would make them have to change their lives and maybe even give up some of their earthly possessions. Meanwhile, people who you'd never imagine would follow the word, people like criminals, thieves, strange women and men, witches, people who'd done crazy things were flocking to him. They loved him and listened to him the most. Even though they'd been so bad and rejected Yahuwah at the beginning of their lives, they were the most willing to change because they probably didn't have any earthly things anyway. They probably weren't liked by most people and didn't have the best of anything. So they understood they'd been wrong and they felt bad and they repented and wanted to obey Yahuwah. We see this even now. The people on top will do anything to stay there. And even if that means lying and disobeying Yahuwah, they'll do it. Finally, let's go to Luke chapter 10, verses 25 to 36. Yes, this is very long, yes, but it's important. It's really important. And behold, a certain lawyer stood up and tempted him, saying, Master, what shall I do to inherit eternal life? And he said unto him, What is written in the law? How do you read it? And he answering said, Thou shalt love Yahuwah thy Elohim with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy strength, and with all thy mind, and thy neighbor as thyself. And he said unto him, Thou hast answered right. Do this, and thou shalt live. But he, willing to justify himself, said unto Yahusha, And who is my neighbor? And Yahusha answering said, A certain man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and fell among thieves, which stripped him of his raiment, and wounded him, and departed, leaving him half dead. And by chance there came down a certain priest that way, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. Priests are the highest ranking people in Yahuwah's chosen nation. They were supposed to have a direct link to Yahuwah through the spiritual realm. But as we can see, they became quite corrupt and uncaring and shallow. And likewise a Levite, when he was at the place, came and looked on him and passed by on the other side. Again, Levites are also super high ranking because all priests come from the tribe of Levi. We have to get into this another time, the 12 brothers. But they're the tribe who was supposed to be closest to Yahuwah. But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion on him. Okay, so Samaritans were considered lesser status because they were mixed with people of other nations, which was against the laws of Yasharal. They also had been idolaters for generations, like worshiping all kinds of crazy things. But yeah, if you don't know what an idolater is, go back to the commandments video, or you can look it up. Either way. And he went to him and bound up his wounds, pouring in oil and wine, and set him on his own beast, and brought him to an inn, and took care of him. And on the morrow, which is the next day, when he departed, he took out 2 pence, and gave them to the host, and said unto him, Take care of him, and whatsoever thou spendest more, when I come again, I'll repay you. Which now of these 3 thinkest thou was neighbor unto him that fell among the thieves? And he said, He that showed mercy on him. Then said Yahusha unto him, Go, and do thou likewise. In these days and times, this can be a hard thing to do. It's hard to stop and help people who look like they're in a rough spot. But try your best to be polite and offer what you can, even if it's just a smile or a simple acknowledgement. Think about what it's like to need help, but instead people just walk past you without even looking at you. Everyone wants to be acknowledged. If you can do more, then do that too. Yahuwah will see it. Yes. A super long video, I know, but I hope it's been helpful. Nothing beats hearing the word, right? Anyway, until next time, keep reading. Hallelujah.